The first presentation that I'm going to show in this third day of Go for Water project is about how to build water resilience in cities. This presentation is a summary of the study visit that we carried out in February, because would like to have some yesterday, but the time is not endless, and the climate of Murcia limit the study visit because of the heat. In order to don't waste the time, I'm going to give the conclusions of the study visit that took place in February. The thematic of the visit was building water resilience, and the pillar of water resilience is a measure for adapting to the water scarcity. We have told our experiences in Murcia with non-conventional water resources, how deal with the scarcity problem. The second pillar is avoid the pollution. We have several presentations today in order to show how face that problem, and reduce the overflow in case of extreme events. This was the topic of the visit. Precisely, we show two blue-green facilities that are very close to Mar Menor. The context is the cities that the stop of the visit was at less than 1 kilometer of the salty lagoon of Mar Menor. That is a unique ecosystem that has a great biodiversity because of the temperature or the concentration of the salt. It's a unique ecosystem, but it's also very vulnerable. Surrounding has a very high intensive agricultural activity and a high pressure of the touristic sector. The other problem, the other important problem is precisely the catchment area is weakly defined. It's almost flat. Sometimes the overflow could unexpectedly modify its direction for small changes in the territory. Apart from that, the water table is very superficial, with salty water and marine intrusion, an aquifer that is connected with the salty lagoon. The main goals of these facilities is precisely reduce the overflow in case of flash flooding. We know that the most desirable fact is to reduce the overflow at the beginning of the watershed, but sometimes it's complicated. The municipalities should defend of these extreme events with facilities that are not that are having the best effectiveness, but are interested but make their function. In this visit, we dealt with two possible situations: the separative networks and the combined sewer system or unitary network. The first stop was the storm tank of San Javier. That is a storm tank that is under a a play garden. And the second point was detention retention catchment. That in this point we use in a case of a water table very superficial. That in case of heavy rain, go to the surface, bringing salty water. That the sewage system bring to the wastewater treatment plant salty water that kills the bacteria, and how we deal with that. And the third example is combined sewage system in a storm tank in two phases of maintenance. The first sample you can see in the first picture, the catchment area of the storm tank called Patrulla Águila. You can see there is a catchment area with collectors that have grit filters in order to remove the plastic or the most root material, and bring the first water that drag the sands and dirty, and is called is taken to the storm tanks. In the second picture, you can see the way of working of a storm tanks. That they have a 10 deposits that is filled with an order, with a specific order. When the water reach a high level, is passing to the second deposit. If we're working, facilitate that the dirtiest water is filled in the first, second, or first department. The last deposits are more or less clean. When heavy rains, 5 or 6 days after the heavy rains, this water is pumped to the wastewater treatment plant to be treated. As you can see in this photo, this is a real photo. You can see anything because the storm tank is precisely under the playground. This is very important because the visual impact. You have a facility that makes a function. Besides of that, there isn't any visual impact in the area. I need to tell you one of the lessons learned in the past in Murcia region about the storm tanks, because they have a great social rejection. Because for one reason, because in summer of 2016, a storm tank was built in San Pedro del Pinatar, a municipality very close to this to San Javier. We prepare the press release in order to announce the starting of the storm tanks. When we send the press release, we told the storm tanks are very useful in order to collect the first water in case of heavy rain that contains a lot of dirty, and the main function is to avoid that dirty reaches the Mar Menor. Despite of that, reduce the overflow in case of heavy rain. The problem is the journalists understood that the most impact of the news was reduce the storm tanks. The function of storm tanks was to reduce the overflow. 3 months later, there was heavy rain, flash flooding in this municipality, and all the people was has a great rage because of the storm tanks, thinking that this facility don't reduce the overflow in case of heavy rain. Because of this situation, now we need to you need to learn about the lesson learned, to be prudent at the time of we prepare the press releases. We need to be if there is a rejection of stone tank, it's necessary sometimes to place where with less visual impact, or where people don't know that they are there over there. Okay. The problem in the second stop was the detention retention pond. That is their function is collect the reduce the overflow, filling a reservoir. The volume of this storm tank is more or less 30,000 cubic meters. But the main function of this detention retention pond is precisely because the water table is very close to the surface. There is a great marine intrusion, and when heavy rain happens, the water level increase, filling the sewage system of salty water. When this salty water reaches the wastewater treatment plant, can kill the bacteria. The detention retention pond accepts water without any salt, because it's harvesting rain. Is very useful to reduce the salty in the waste of the wastewater, and allows to deal with that water. This is more or less an scheme that we haven't seen. Now we are going to deal with the storm tank of Torre Pacheco. It's a unitary network. That means that rainwater, wastewater goes in the same network. And this in this storm tank, this is a pre-treatment that discharge the water with a high velocity in order to avoid the precipitation or the suspension of soil or drugs, sands and plastic, etc., etc. After that is to send to a much bigger pond, in which is retained for 6 or 7 days in order to send that water to the wastewater treatment plant when it's not collapsed. The worst problem of the storm tanks in Murcia region is precisely the maintenance. In case of separated networks, it's even easier because they need less space, but not all the municipalities have a good staff to clean that to clean the stone tank which is necessary. That's why Murcia goes for stone tank with easy system for the maintenance. The conclusion of the stone tank of Torre Pacheco is when you work in combined sewer system, you need much more space much more space to do the same work, because if the storm tank hadn't been there, all the first water that drag dirt ends up in the Mar Menor. That's why it's a blue-green facility that is important and is very useful. Anyway, now if you have any question, that is the right moment for doing. Okay. No question.